Hi, I'm Adam Tonkin from SSP Innovations. I'm here to provide a preview of our SSP Sync solution. SSP Sync is designed to not only migrate your existing geometric network-based data into Esri's new utility network management extension-based model, but allow you to continue to edit in your geometric network environment and then have those edits propagated into your utility network model. This will allow utilities to not only start to evaluate their data in the new model, but also begin to prototype new integrations, tools, and also allow training and exposure of the new ArcGIS Pro environment to a wide variety of users before having to actually migrate everybody off their existing geometric network-based environment. This really provides the ability for utilities to choose their own path forward in migrating to the new utility network and ArcGIS Pro environment. We're going to start here in our ArcMap geometric network-based environment. We've got some sample data we've had it here, some three-phase lines, three-phase transformers. We've got some service lines there connected to street lights we want to use as examples. Different facilities here, we want to provide an example of what SSP Sync can do. We're going to click on this transformer and identify what components it has. It's going to have related units here for the various phases. They'll be part of this migration process using SSP Sync. And we're working in a version here, so we've added these edits there. We're going to stop editing and kick off the SSP Sync process. It's going to propagate the changes within that version into a version in Utility Network. We're going to kick off the SSP Sync application. It'll be a batch process. You'll be able to schedule that at a regular interval. Could be daily, could be every 10 minutes. You'll see that we've got the CPU monitor up there identifying the different threads. We can configure the amount of threads that will fire off when SSP Sync begins. Obviously, there could be a large amount of changes every day. We can configure those number of threads that will operate on various feature classes and or subtypes to make that process run a lot faster. You can see the log window there generating the list of changes that we're going to apply and push through to our utility network environment. Now we're going to jump over to ArcGIS Pro. We're looking now at the default version of the utility network data. We can see those facilities around there in that area that we haven't changed into the version that we've pushed that data from geometric network in. Just to use as a reference, we're turning on those layers coming from ArcGIS Server from the geometric network environment. They're the facilities back in the 10.2.1 environment that we use to support the SSP Sync data that we migrated across. Now we're changing version into our Sync version that we push that data into. You'll see those facilities come in as we change to the version, and they'll overlay on the top of that geometric network area. You can see here, if you've seen utility network demonstrations before, they're highlighting, those polygons are highlighting the dirty areas. There were network edits that haven't yet been validated in utility network, so we'll go validate those, and those dirty areas will go away after the network topology has been validated. And we'll be able to see those facilities a bit clearer. So now that our network topology is validated, let's go in and take a bit more of a closer look at some of the data in utility network. So we can see these transformers come across at assemblies, see the service lines coming back out in that same direction. As we zoom in, you start to see the much more granular level and representation utility network provides. We've got the separate assembly, the individual transformer devices there. We'll turn off the geometric network, those service lines, so you can see the new service lines in the utility network and how they're now no longer geometrically coincident with that tap point. We can use the View Associations tool in ArcGIS Pro to see we've constructed the actual connectivity associations there, so all of our line work is actually connected as part of a real model. Now we're also going to look at the containment associations along with connectivity. We've also created this containment associations between the assembly and the individual devices. So not only the connectivity, but also the containment that utility network offers as far as associations go. So we're going to zoom out. You can see the other facilities there that we brought across. If we zoom in a little, you'll start to see the street lights that we actually brought in using SSP Sync. We'll go over and have a look at the point at which we connected to the existing facilities. And we're going to run a trace just to show that we've created actual network, true network connectivity. If you've seen some of our presentations before, SSP Productivity brings the one-click tracing capability. we're going to use the standard out-of-the-box downstream trace here to show these new facilities and the fact that they're actually being truly connected to the network. So first we'll select our domain, electric distribution, our tier for medium voltage radial. We'll run the trace. It'll go downstream through both the existing facilities, but also those new facilities we brought across in SSP Sync. So as we zoom out, you'll see those different areas highlighted, really showing that we've created true connectivity through not only the actual facilities, but via those associations right down to the service point as we zoom around there. So we'll keep zooming around, looking at some of the other components, just do a visual inspection of the data we brought across. If we look over here, here's another transformer with, again, some devices that we've connected up. We can view those associations, make sure they're created with the line ends back to the tap point for the transformer. That's obviously working because we saw the trace results, but just to have a look at the inspections there. So that's a demonstration of SSP Sync and how the capability of the runtime component will push your data into utility network model. Next, we're going to start looking at the GUI, what the tool you'll use to actually configure the migration and mapping properties that the SSP Sync runtime employs. So let's get into the configuration tool here. We're going to open up an XML schema that we're loaded for both utility network model and the geometric network model, both of which are generated by standard Esri export tools into XML. And here we've got our geometric network source. We've got the schema here, we've got the various data sets, related objects, pretty familiar for those of you who've navigated through our catalog before. We've got our individual units and subtypes there we're displaying, and again, all the feature classes within that data set. So for this example of the prototype GUI, work in progress, looking at these subtypes, the transformer, I'm going to start with the parent transformer before we get into the subtypes, start to map some basic info here. So the feature class that we're targeting, utility network, is an assembly, and it's a transformer bank. And for the device that's obviously related to that bank, in utility network we have a separate bank and device. It's going to be electric distribution device of type transformer. We also want to select the related unit in the source, which is going to be transform unit, because all of these fields from what was just the bank and the related unit in geometric network are going to map to both the assembly, or some will be for the assembly and some will be for the target device. Here's our various fields that we can create mappings for. We can see domains where they're applied and domain values. We're obviously going to support the capability to map to target domains and do some validation on the domain values to make sure that we've got appropriate mappings between those. And once we've set that at the parent, we're then going to go into the individual subtypes. We can see the green check marks indicating that we've set all the information that we need to set for a successful mapping at the parent. Now we need to go into each individual subtype level just to make sure that we've mapped everything appropriately. We'll inherit certain behaviors from the parent, obviously the source is an assembly. Now we're going to set the asset type target for that particular subtype. So in this case, it's obviously going to be a single phase overhead also. We can set the maximum unit count, set some cardinality rules there, and also set the target device, transformer, overhead single type for the device itself that's going to be pulling information from the unit. And so what this will allow us to do is not only inherit mappings we may have done at the parent feature level, but also map individual subtype level attributes. And again, we can see here some source domains where they're applied at the unit level, and we'll be able to set target features there. We'll also be able to save this off as a project. One of the goals we set out with SSP Sync was to make sure we didn't leave any data behind. And we're doing that through validating, have we mapped or chosen to ignore every source feature, source unit, and source field. And that'll make sure that we're taking account of all the data in the source model. So again, work in progress. We're working hurriedly towards completion. We'll have more to show at SSP Illuminate. Feel free to reach out to us at SSP Innovations if you'd like to learn more. Thanks very much.